The moment Natalie grabbed the front of my shirt with trembling hands, I thought something terrible had happened. Her eyes were filled with panic, and before I could even ask what was wrong, she glanced toward the dark blue sedan parked across the quiet suburban street. A man sat behind the steering wheel, watching us without blinking. Then she whispered the last thing I ever expected to hear. She begged me to kiss her, just for a few seconds, because the man in that car was the ex who had spent months refusing to let go of the life they no longer shared. I had no idea that one simple favor on an ordinary afternoon in Columbus, Ohio, would become the turning point that changed both of our lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness can change someone's future, that forgiveness is stronger than bitterness, and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support allows stories like this to reach more hearts every single day. My name is Nathan, and I had lived next door to Natalie for almost 2 years. We weren't close friends, but we had become comfortable neighbors. We exchanged holiday cookies, shoveled each other's sidewalks after winter storms, and occasionally talked while watering our gardens. She always smiled politely, yet there was a sadness behind her eyes that seemed too heavy for someone still in her early 30s. I never asked about it because everyone carries battles they aren't ready to explain. That afternoon, however, I realized how much she had been carrying alone. She had finally ended a relationship that had drained every ounce of confidence she once possessed. Her former boyfriend, Aaron, never threatened her physically, but he couldn't accept that the relationship was over. He constantly appeared wherever she happened to be, hoping guilt, persistence, or emotional pressure would convince her to return. She had blocked his number, changed her routines, and tried to move forward, but somehow he always found another excuse to appear. As I looked toward the sedan, I saw a man staring at us with folded arms. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't making a scene. Somehow, that silent stare felt even heavier. Without thinking too much, I nodded. Natalie stepped closer, wrapped one hand around my shoulder, and I gently kissed her forehead before softly kissing her lips for only a brief moment. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't planned. It was simply the quiet reassurance of one human being helping another feel safe. When we stepped apart, Aaron slowly started his car and drove away without saying a single word. Natalie didn't celebrate. She didn't smile. Instead, tears rolled down her cheeks as months of fear, exhaustion, and emotional pressure finally caught up with her. She apologized over and over for involving me, but I couldn't imagine walking away after seeing how deeply she had been hurting. Over the following weeks, our conversations became longer. Sometimes, we shared coffee on the porch before work. Other evenings, we walked around the neighborhood while the summer sunsets painted the sky orange and pink. She spoke honestly about how easy it is to lose yourself when someone slowly convinces you that your happiness depends entirely on them. I admitted that after losing my parents within 3 years of each other, I had also built walls around my heart because loneliness felt safer than disappointment. Neither of us was trying to rescue the other. We were simply learning how healing begins when someone listens without judging. Months passed, and life slowly became peaceful again. Natalie returned to painting, a hobby she had abandoned years earlier. I found myself laughing more than I had in a long time. Our neighbors noticed the difference before we did. The woman who once hurried inside whenever she heard a car stop outside now left colorful flower pots on her porch and greeted everyone with genuine warmth. Then one Saturday morning, something unexpected happened. A local community center announced that it needed volunteers to renovate a reading room for children. Natalie immediately signed up. I joined her without hesitation. For several weekends, we painted walls, assembled bookshelves, and organized donated books, alongside dozens of volunteers from across the city. Watching Natalie encourage children to choose their favorite stories reminded me of the woman she had always been beneath the fear. She wasn't broken. She had simply forgotten that her kindness still had room to grow. One afternoon, after finishing another volunteer shift, she quietly admitted something that stayed with me forever. She said the fake kiss hadn't changed her life because it made her ex leave. It changed her life because it reminded her that kindness still existed, and that not every man expected something in return. Those words humbled me more than she could ever know. Nearly a year after that unforgettable afternoon, we stood once again on the same front porch, where everything had begun. This time, there were no parked cars, no fearful glances, and no painful memories controlling the moment. Only two neighbors who had slowly become best friends, and eventually discovered that love built on patience grows much stronger than love built on excitement alone. Before we reach the end of this story, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment telling us about a moment when someone's unexpected kindness changed your life. Your story might become the encouragement another viewer desperately needs today. Several years later, the community reading room we helped build became one of the most popular places in the neighborhood. Children filled it with laughter every afternoon, and Natalie often donated new books from the small art business she eventually opened. Every time I walked through those colorful shelves, I remembered that life can change in a single moment, not because of grand miracles, but because someone chooses compassion instead of indifference. If this story touched your heart, please support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with family and friends, subscribing for more uplifting stories, and letting us know what part moved you the most. Every act of encouragement helps these messages of hope reach people who may need them today. Sometimes the bravest decision isn't pretending to love someone. Sometimes it's offering a small act of kindness with no expectation of reward. Because the simplest gesture, a few seconds of courage, a listening ear, or a helping hand can become the beginning of someone else's new life. And every now and then, it becomes the beginning of your own.